Hi, I'm Marley.
I'm Maria.
And I'm Kendra.
Welcome to Cafe Hachidori.
Alright, ladies, what do we have for drinks today?
Well, in celebration of our new section of videos, and to wake myself up, I got some hazelnut coffee.
Ooh.
It's so good.
Awesome. Yes, I forgot this is the opening for our new section, Coffee Time.
Yeah, it's
Come
different.
on, Marley, get with the program.
I don't drink coffee, though, so I still only have tea. It's mint tea.
I got a Coke, because it's been that kind of a day.
Okay, so for those of you who've been following us, you know that we have our section called Tea Time, which is when we get together and talk about our favorite animated works and rant and giggle and fangirl and have a lot of fun.
Tea.
Tea. This is Coffee Time, where we are going to be discussing topics on animated films or works that are not necessarily about specific works. So this is going to be our encompassing general thread. Like, this is our general topic place.
General discussion.
There we go. We'll have our general discussions on topics of animated works.
Hey.
And so today, to kick off our first Coffee Time video, we're going to talk about subs versus dubs.
When we say subs versus dubs, we mean, for anime, the Japanese voice actors with English translations, the subs, or the English voice actors, the dubs, just to specify.
Yeah. Do we want to start with the subs then?
Sure.
Why not?
Well, I know for me, like, Hatchling Weeb subtitles are something that I usually prefer because getting into anime can be kind of really intense and makes you feel like you don't want to miss anything. So it was a little bit easier for me to feel more comfortable with what was going on and to be able to feel like I wasn't missing as much by being able to, watch it with subtitles. But, doing a lot of language work, I'm used to kind of subtitles. I know one of the things that a lot of people have is they're like, the subtitles are distracting me. Or my mom is always like, turn off the subtitles, Kendra. You can hear. You don't need the subtitles. Those are distracting. It makes me want to read instead of watch what's happening on the screen. And so I know that can be distracting for a lot of people, but it doesn't bother me very much.
When I started watching anime, the only dubs that they had were the Toonami dubs, the 4Kids dubs, and then the random other ones that they had that were dubbed anime that were very small and in between. So if you wanted to watch something that wasn't of those, it was really hard to find, and the only way to find it was in the subtitled version. So I started watching a lot of anime subtitled when I was really young, and that I just live by that now. It kind of helped me get the basic nuance and understanding of Japanese, so I can at least have an idea of what people are saying to me if they're speaking in Japanese. I also read faster now because of reading subtitles and then looking at everything that happened. And one of the big things that I noticed that I probably learned from watching a lot of subtitled anime was that I can look at something and then see everything that's basically going on, at least picture it slightly in a way before I read it, and then I can look back at it. So it's like paying attention to like a lot of details in a single glance. I'm a lot better at doing. But in general, the reason I think people fall in love with subs would be because of the voice acting cast. There is a lot of voice actors in Japan in comparison to the fact that the voice acting population in English voice acting circles is actually quite small, especially for anime. It's getting bigger. It's a much bigger than it was like years ago, but it's still like vastly smaller than the Japanese voice acting community.
Well, as a fluent Japanese speaker, I don't really need subs or dubs, but living in America, I do need to use those membership sites, Crunchyroll, Hulu, Funimation, those kind of things, to get my weekly dose of anime, including simulcasts. And sometimes I don't have the option to turn off subs, so if I had to choose between the two, I typically go for subs, because one, as a avid voice actor fan, I love to hear the original voices of the characters. Right, so the pro, one, preserves the original voices, and in two, it can accurately portray nuance and, in some cases, jokes and puns, which is really hard to do even for natural speakers like me. And then the third one I listed is that footnotes can also be added on the screen to explain any kind of cultural or historical information that is necessary to explain the scene. Hitalia, if anybody has ever seen that anime.
Yay.
Each episode is only 5 minutes, but sometimes the screen turns plain white because of so much text explaining the historical information behind it. I also like that sometimes animes have captions or subs for like signs in the background so people can learn what symbols mean or what hiragana matches the type of store it is.
Or like helpful little post-it notes that exist all over the place.
Yes, that's a
Giving
really
you
good
context.
But con-wise, there are some things that I know a lot of people dislike about subtitles. Like for me, I can't multitask with subtitles, so like watching a lot of anime, I can't like do other things with it because I want to be focused on it because I have to, since I'm not fluent in Japanese. But I know for other people, it's just having to read the subtitles on the screen distracts them. Like you mentioned, Kendra, like that is a major turnoff for a lot of people with subs. They're just like, I can't read and watch at the same time. I miss too many details. I want to look at what's happening on the screen and what's happening with the characters and everything like this. And reading just takes too much time. When I'm thinking to myself, like, you do realize that there's at least probably, like, a good, like, few seconds that those subtitles are on the screen, if not longer. And within that time frame, if you're reading fast enough, you won't miss, like, most of the frames because, like, I can name so many animes where they literally hold you on a still frame for so long that it's kind of boring.
It just jars you.
I think another thing that kind of discourages me from looking at subs, especially across services, is that people write subs differently. So one company can portray it one way, and then you switch over or buy a DVD or something and you'll realize that they have different subs written.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it really depends on your preference of like how adequate or accurate each company writes their subs. And oh man, what was I gonna say?
If it's fan subs or not, because fan subs are totally different ballgame than the professional companies.
Wow, I had no idea that they changed. I really just assumed it was like, you know, for American TV, the people who are producing the show, you know, give the scripts and they're like, these are the subtitles that go with this. Go.
It's because there are multiple providers of anime in America, so there's not like one encompassing umbrella company saying, hey, yo, this is the subs that we agreed on. Use it. They don't have that.
Oh, they don't have a secret mouse that runs all television.
Especially because nowadays simulcasts are possible in America due to the high-speed internet and growing demand for anime. So people have to be on top of things and instantly put out subs. So different companies will have different subs.
So this image that I'm sending to you, you can see that the characters change what they're saying. It's not necessarily massive changes, like, you know, complete wording changes, but it's at least enough that it changes the meaning.
Yeah, like that for me means two people looked at the same thing and based upon the context drew different conclusions about how this person would talk in that context.
Yeah.
Oh, another example. Because I get this question asked a lot. Whenever a character says, especially in shonen anime, like, kuso? So that's a type of swear word, not really, but it's something you say when you're frustrated or you're in pain or something. And people tend to get confused because one company will say it means shit, but another company will say it means like damn. When in reality, I would say that it means crap, but
like, you know, it's not a massive curse word, and it's something that you would just be like,
you know, like I stubbed my toe this morning and I was like, crap.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not what I said, but that's okay.
Yeah, so in terms of nuance, that's how I would put it, but in the context of like a really intense scene, it would turn into shit, or if it's really funny, then it would turn into damn, so people are really thrown off by the different subtitles in those cases.
Could it also be a like, you know how like in English can be used as like an intermittent,
yeah, I've seen it
pretty
used.
much everything.
I've seen someone translate it that way, yeah.
Huh.
Then you have fan subs, which are, this is kind of going off of that whole, like, people have different nuance thing. And fan subs are the ones that, like, get it out on the illegal services really quickly. Fan subs have gotten a lot better, and some people even swear by fan, like the fan translators more than they do the real companies, at least now. The old one, the old fan, like the fan subs, they were like, no. But the new ones, some people swear by them that they're better than the English translations. This is for both manga and for anime. And sometimes they say it's because the people put more heart and effort into it because they care about what they're doing rather than the translation companies that are just doing it to get it out.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, if I had Maria, like, translate something for me for an anime that I really, really liked, I'd trust her translation for it, you know, a little bit more so than just kind of like the random machine that pops it out. But, you know, like, translation is always a really, really interesting conversation to have, like, amongst linguists and that sort of a thing. So it's really kind of fun to see that play out here through something much more colloquial.
However, I do have to say that this is like a con / a pro for subtitles. No, actually, I'm gonna leave that until the end. I'm just gonna leave it to the
shit,
end.
I thought you were gonna make the reference.
I'm going to, but okay, you know what? Fine. One thing as we transition into devs is that both have this one pro and both have the same con, that they both create beautiful community through really awful translations sometimes. And the best example I have of this is from a wonderful anime called Death Note.
Oh god.
In the Death Note sub,
I already know what's coming.
A beautiful fan translation that says, just according to the Keikaku. And at the very top of the screen, so that's at the bottom, right? And then at the top of the screen, it says, translator note, Keikaku means plan. And I gotta show you this picture, Kendra.
It's one of the most notorious and infamous scenes of fan subs.
And the thing is, it became a meme. So fan sub translators these days actually now do it just because it, like, even though they know that they shouldn't do that, they do it just because it's such a meme. It, like, so many animes. If the word comes up in the anime, it's kind of like you're supposed to do it.
Oh,
so there's bad fan subs, right? But there's also those times where in the dub, it's also just so awful and hilarious, but also great at the same time that it creates community. And I'm talking also from Death Note. I'll take this potato chip and eat it.
It's like, I'll take this potato chip and eat it.
Exactly. Community. On to dubs. In general, the pros of the dubs are it helps the industry for voice acting here in America, with them getting not only like more jobs, but also them getting more recognition and able to pick their work, because there's like a lot of stuff with voice acting, especially in games, which isn't really necessarily anime, but they don't really get to know who they're voice acting or what they're voice acting for, which is kind of like BS. Because they just like show up to the audition, they're like, read some of these lines, then they're like, okay, you got picked, read these lines, and like, who am I? What am I? Like, and so people, they have no idea. It happens so often.
It does, and that's why some dubs suck.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when they don't have the budget for casting.
Mm-hmm. We didn't say this in the subs, but they have pretty good accents for like accents of other countries. Yo, go ahead, Maria.
Oh, well, I usually watch dub for animated films. Animated films being like Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle.
I actually have that listed too.
Yeah, those two I actually prefer in dubs. And Hetalia, I go back to this a lot, but Hetalia as a series works much better in dubs because Japanese doesn't do well with foreign accents. And if you look at some of the characters like Spain or Netherlands or even Sweden, they're talking in a dialect of Japanese but not a foreign accent.
Gotcha.
The dubs just make it so much funnier with the foreign accents. It sounds more genuine, and also the translated script is much more vulgar. So they have really explicit jokes in there, and it just makes it 10 times funnier. I've never laughed my head off so much when I saw the dubbed Hetalia at a con showing.
Yeah, Hetalia is very funny.
So accent works much better in English, and also because they can't have any written explanations in the background, they somehow manage to explain things in the script. So, for the instance of Spirited Away, that movie makes a lot more sense in English, actually, because the original Japanese doesn't explain anything in there that's happening, especially for, like, the river god that comes in initially as a huge pile of muck. That's why a lot of Japanese audiences were confused when they first saw that movie. They didn't explain anything in speech, but it's not like they have anything written in the background to explain anything either.
So they just kind of let it happen, and they were like, that's normal, it's fine.
Yeah, and that is explained as the beauty of absence, or lack of explanation thereof, and people say that it's like open to interpretation and that kind of thing, but American audiences and other overseas audiences need like explicit explanations, context, and so they made that into the script, and I really appreciate that.
In general, con though, I think that one of the big things that really, I'm about to sound like a subs only ever person, which I've seen a lot of them. But I don't know, sometimes the characters change, and that bothers me a lot. Like, you know, the way that they say it or the way that the translations are just changes the character and just kind of changes the story because the character is changed. And like I said, I haven't actually watched Hero Academia in the English translation, so I can't really judge it. But from the few clips that I have seen, it is very clear that they changed Deku's character, who's the main character, so ever so slightly in the English than the Japanese, and because of that, it just seems different. He just seems more confident in the English from the clips that I have seen than he did in the Japanese, and that's kind of like a lot of his character development, so I'm kind of like put off by that. But that's basically what pisses me off the most, is when characters, like, their base changes, or like things about them change, or like there's not enough context for the character yet, that they make them one way, and then when it comes up later that there's more context, they've kind of changed that, which isn't so much of a big deal nowadays because they kind of are waiting a little bit more for the anime, for the manga, or to wait before the anime comes out. But still, there's just that disconnect there for me.
Along those lines, I can't stand it when an English voice actor has a completely different voice from the original voice actor. A lot of the times they try to be accurate in the voice quality, and so Naruto has a really husky voice in the original, and that's why the English voice actress has a chain smoker voice.
Chain smoker.
She's not wrong.
I mean, yeah, she's not. It's just
She's not, but that's how
say it.
No,
that's how my friend
Maria's
described
not,
her.
You know, Maria, your friend's right.
Yeah, it's like, believe it. It's really, really raunchy. But that's still, like, closer to the original. I'm talking about characters specifically that look like really cute animal mascots. I don't know why, but any character that looks cute tends to have a deeper voice than the original voices. And the biggest shocker for me in this instance was Gigi from Kiki's delivery service.
Yes.
So in the original, he has a kind of feeble, meekly voice, like a "Hontoni oriruki," like he kind of whispers almost. And then you watch the English dub version, and he sounds like a big black guy.
She's not lying.
Like so in the Japanese, Gigi is like the cute, sassy cat. Like, are you seriously gonna get off? And then in the English dub, he's like, "Yo, Kiki, are you gonna drop off here?" And it goes the same for like Kara-chan in Cardcaptor Sakura. He has a really loud, projecting Western accent voice, like "Konnichiwa," and then in the English, he sounds like a middle-aged man. Like,
yeah, and that touches on one of the things that I think I find most jarring for me just watching the dub version of things, is that it freaks me out sometimes to hear people who are Western and who have American accents and probably speak the way that I do have such great tonal change in their voice. It kind of creeps me out because English is such a kind of monotone language where like most of the emphasis in all of the tonal changes is very much at the beginning of the sentence, and then, you know, you pointed this out that I do that when I talk, that the longer I talk I kind of become a more monotone, and you just do that and you kind of fall off at the end of your sentence. And I'm really used to hearing that. I'm really used to doing that. So hearing somebody consistently, especially some of the female characters, where their voices are like all the way up here and then they just have all of this energy and all of this, it drives me up the wall.
yeah,
I
think
it drives me up the wall.
Yeah, that's probably the most off-putting reasons that I don't like dub, is that the intonation changes from the natural American English accent.
It's so strange.
And I think that has to do with the limited mouth movement and the frames in the screen, because they can only fit so many words within that time segment, that they have to have kind of awkward intonations that almost mimic the original Japanese, which also leads to a lost in translation.
And then I also think that cringe, like that's like the drives you up the wall factor, but I'm talking like the things that they say in Japanese that you don't necessarily cringe at, but then when you hear it in English, you're just like, I'm talking like Aaron screaming at the top of his lungs. Also in Black Clover, that's the thing too. I'm talking like, I'm trying to think of the dialogue. Oh gosh, I had it on the top of my head.
Because like nobody in English would do that. And you're just like, no.
But like, I'm thinking like there's certain phrases and certain things that the way that they say it just in Japanese doesn't seem as creepy or weird or like cringe inducing than it does when it's said in English. And it could be the voice actors, it could be because it's in English, I don't know, But, okay, here we go. So you know at the end of some sentences when they have like that cat character, that cat girl, this is mostly to Maria rather than to Kendra, and they have meow at the end of their sentences. But then like when you put that into like English, it's like meow, meow. Oh my gosh, how did you do that? Meow.
Like actual cat sounds. Also, I don't know if for anybody else, but seeing like somebody say something in English that I understand, but watching like the animation for the mouths move, it like it completely did me up.
That's another one of the reasons I have to watch other country stuff in its original language because I just can't do it.
It's like, what are you saying? What are you saying? What are you saying about me? What am I missing here? It makes me feel like I'm missing something.
Lately, companies are much better at that, and they focus on the mouth movement and try to pick words that match that.
Or they adapt it themselves, because they can actually edit that.
Yeah, so Disney in particular is really good at that. So I'm thinking about, like, Let It Go from Frozen. When they had to record that in so many other languages, they took the original mouth movement of Elsa, analyzed it, and picked out words in the foreign language that matches it really closely.
And figured out how to make the song work, still within the music, lyrically, and mouth movement-wise.
And I was watching bonus footage for Howl's Moving Castle and how they were dubbing that in English. It was fascinating how even the young actors for, like, the kids understood that they had to match the mouth movements just as well as the Japanese voice actors did. So they're getting better at that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so is there anything else you would like to add?
No, that's why dubs piss me off.
I could go on and on about subs and dubs.
Yeah, I could too. But in general, we'll just say our general consensus. I prefer subs over dubs, and I think everyone should watch subs over dubs, but that's a personal thing, and I'm not going to push anyone because I understand why dubs are important, but subs for the win.
Yeah, subs for me.
I'll choose subs, but dubs may work for specific things in my instance.
Yes. All right. Guess it's time to wrap up then.
If you like what you heard, please like and subscribe.
Leave us some comments below. Ask us questions.
And we hope you join us again at Cafe Hachidori.
Bye.
Bye.